Hey guys, it's Madison, and in this video I'm hoping to do a little bit of a weekend intensive in studying Korean. In my last video I mentioned that I'm really shifting my focus back towards Korean this fall, or at least that's my intention. I signed up for and started an advanced Korean class, which takes place twice a week via Zoom. I also signed up for the topic that's happening in mid-November, so I will need to, study and prepare for that and hopefully improve my writing, especially a ton. And I'm also planning on getting socially involved as well, so lots of big plans for this fall. But aside from actually starting that class last week, which was a pretty decent experience, you can check that out in that last video that I mentioned. I didn't actually study actively any Korean besides that. I did watch a few shows maybe throughout the week, but now that it's the weekend, I'm really hoping to kind of jump in and actually actively study Korean a bit more. That being said, because I did have kind of a stressful week, I'm not really going to set any super high goals for myself. I'm just going to try and push myself and to see how much I feel comfortable doing this weekend, and basically just seeing how much I managed to get done. So the first little Korean thing I want to work on is actually related to that class that I keep mentioning, and that is number one, to do the homework that is due before Monday's class, and number two, I want to kind of go through and rewrite or tidy up my notes that I scribbled down during the class. Even though the book content is a bit easy in my opinion for an advanced class, and so there's not a ton of unfamiliar vocabulary, the teacher does actually use quite a few words in her classes that I'm not familiar with or I've heard before but don't know very well. And so whenever that happens, I try to take notes on my iPad as she's talking. And so rather than ignoring my notes and never looking at them again like I typically do, I want to go through them at least one more time, maybe rewrite them just to kind of process the information one more time. So hopefully I'll be less likely to forget all the information that I painstakingly scribbled down during the class. But yeah, those are the two things that I'm going to do first, and I will check back in after to see what I feel like doing next. All right, so a significant amount of time has passed. I finished those two activities and then I made dinner and then I started watching YouTube, went down a rabbit hole, and now 3.5 hours has passed since I got distracted, but that's okay. I'm correcting course now and getting back to the main point of this video, which is studying Korean. And again, it is the weekend, so I'm being kind of lax with myself if I do get distracted and relax sometimes. But moving on to my next Korean activity, I'm going to be reading a bit, going back to this book. I'm this far through the book, so a third of the way through, and I'm thinking about doing a reading challenge coming up, and I'm trying to figure out what a good daily goal is for that challenge. This weekend I'm going to test out and see how it feels to do an hour each day and kind of set that as my threshold, and then I'll see later when I do the challenge if it needs to be adjusted, increased, decreased, any of that. So that's what I'm doing this weekend. So yeah, I'm currently on page 97, so we'll see how far I can get in an hour's time. All right, so I read for just over an hour, ended up getting to page 121, so that's 24 pages. And you can see now I'm kind of halfway-ish. Not quite, almost halfway through the book, which is nice. 24 pages in an hour is definitely not nearly my English reading speed. I'm not sure my Korean reading speed will ever get up to my English reading speed because I read fairly quickly in English, but I'm definitely not satisfied with my current reading rate, and I'm hoping that if I do manage to finally get myself into a consistent reading habit in Korean, that at least it'll get to a more normal adult human reading rate, because definitely, even though I can read novels fairly easily and pick up most of the words, or at least guess most of the words through context, it's still a lot more slow, obviously, than someone who is a native speaker. So don't know if I'll ever actually get fully to that level, but that is my goal at least. But I think that's all the active Korean study I'm going to do for today. I have one other little project I'm going to start before I do head to bed, and that is kind of a little home improvement project. I've been kind of dissatisfied with this little area here, what would you call this? This counter, I guess you could say, this shelf that has a bunch of my stuff piled up on it. I impulse shopped on Coupang last weekend and bought a bunch of stuff to kind of spruce up this area and hopefully make it look a little bit more homey and nice. I also got a curtain for this huge window that kind of separates my kitchen from my bedroom. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I was kind of tempted to try it and see how it looks, so I'm gonna try it and see how it looks. I'm not sure how much I'll actually get done tonight because I am trying to kind of keep a decent sleep schedule this weekend, so I'm not heading into the work week super tired, but I'm gonna at least start and see how much I can get accomplished, and I will check back in with you guys, I guess, tomorrow to continue this little Korean study journey. Good afternoon, happy Sunday. So I finished this little home improvement project for now. Obviously it's not totally finished because there's this big empty window space right here. I thought I had bought 2 curtains, but apparently not, only 1. So I need to go and buy another curtain or 2 so that I can fill in this empty space and have it look complete, obviously. But yeah, last night I built this little bookshelf thing, as you guys saw, and today I went ahead and kind of redid this whole space and put everything together for the final look. And yeah, I really liked how it turned out. I'm thinking about getting more of these little shelf things and kind of extending them further down the counter so the counter isn't so empty and some of this stuff in the middle here has a place to go and look a little more organized. But like I said, overall, I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. But anyway, that's enough of that kind of side quest for the weekend. Back to this weekend's focus, which is Korean. I read a little bit more of this book this morning, a little less than half an hour, so I still need to read a bit more, which I'm going to do now. And then after that, I will figure out what I feel inspired to do in Korean for the rest of this afternoon. All right, so I ended up reading just over an hour of this book. Once again, read 24 pages just like yesterday, so that's done for today. And then the next little thing I'm going to do for today as far as active studying is working on some textbooks. These textbooks are technically kind of below my level, but I'm actually planning on buying some new books in the near future that are more on my level or slightly above my level perhaps. And so I'm trying to go through as much of these books as I can before then. And even though they are kind of slightly below where I'm at currently, I still learn things from them, like this cartoon, like onomatopoeia book. I know some of the onomatopoeia pretty well, and then some of them are kind of unfamiliar or just slightly familiar to me, and so I learn a lot from this book still, especially as far as like nuances of when you'd use one similar term versus another. Same thing for the intermediate grammar book. Even though I know most of the grammar in here, I still do learn certain like nuances and certain situations where you can use something or can't use something, so I still learn from it even though a lot of the grammar isn't new to me. And then the news in Korean book, even though the articles are fairly simple, I still find myself learning some vocabulary on topics that I'm unfamiliar with. And even though it is kind of simplified, I think it is still a good exposure to kind of formal vocabulary across a wide variety of different topics that are news related. And so I think it's still something I can learn from, even though it's not necessarily exactly at my level. So that's the last little bit of active studying that I'm planning on doing today. And then after that, I'm probably going to just go and relax and maybe start a new Korean drama. So that'll be a fun way to kind of end the weekend. And I will check back in at some point, letting you guys know kind of what I ended up completing in total this weekend as far as time and activities and stuff. So I'll see you at some point in the future.